Alright, welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about one of the most important parts of ROM hacking, and that's Porymap. It's the program that lets us edit our map files, it lets us edit our routes and our towns, basically. It lets us change the Pokemon that you can catch on them, it lets you change their appearance, it lets you change what events can happen on each map, and allows us to interact with the scripting in a lot of ways, which we'll get into in later videos. But first, to get started, we're just going to type in Porymap into our browser and scroll down to this first link here and go to releases, and we are going to download the zip file for Windows. And once that's downloaded, we are just going to extract it. If you can't figure out how to do it on your system, download 7-zip if you don't already have it, and it should be easy, but Windows has a default extract method. And make sure to extract it into your decomps folder. It's not that important, but it's better just to keep things organized. Okay, so now we should have Porymap downloaded. Okay, we're going to open Porymap. We are also going to go back into our browser and click on this link here to open the Porymap documentation. This is just a lot of little tutorials and information about how to use Porymap. We're going to be going over a lot of this right now, but it's a good resource for a comprehensive look at everything that has to do with Porymap. So now that our Porymap program is open, we are going to navigate to our decomps folder, and we are going to open our decomp. I'm using the Pokemon Emerald expansion, but you can use the regular Pokeemerald decomp. It doesn't matter for this video. It's going to take a second, but it is going to reload our project for you, load in for the first time, and you're going to see Petalburg here. We can get started editing, but I'm going to go over a couple things first. If you see here on the left, we have our map groups. And this first one has all of our cities and all of our overworld routes, including all the water ones. Our next ones are our indoor routes, or our indoor maps. So we have right here, here's our Littleroot bedroom. I am going to make a little change to it right now just so that we can see that later. I'll go over how to do that in a bit though. We go down here, we see our dungeons. Here's the Cave of Origin. Here's Shoal Cave. Here's the Abandoned Ship. These are all of the routes in the game, but we are going to go to Littleroot because that's where we are going to start. And we are going to start going over the functions of Porymap. So to begin with, obviously, as you saw, I added something into our bedroom. That is the main function of Porymap, is adding tiles. So I can click on a tile here, and I can cover up something here. I can put it there. Obviously, you don't want it there. But all of the tiles here you can pick from. You can also change the tile set. Right now, Littleroot is using the Petalburg tile set, but we can change it to the Mauville tile set, and as you see, it glitches everything out because they're saved in different positions. But if you see down here, we have access to all of the Mauville tiles. We're going to change this back to Petalburg, and we are going to also change the dimensions of Littleroot so we have a little bit of space to work with. You can do this to any map. It's gonna look bad, but we have this special bucket tool up here, and we're gonna take our normal grass and we're just gonna fill it. Make sure to go back to your pencil, because if you don't, the next thing you'll use will be a bucket. As you see at the top here, this is an important thing we're gonna talk about. There is a little like lip here of the tree that's not there, and down here these trees are cut off. Why is that happening? That's because this border doesn't actually exist. It actually might have not even been showing on yours until you hit this border button. I'm not sure what the default state of Porymap is, but this border here is this tile, and you can change it. Like I just made it all grass by clicking around it. I can turn it all into this tree. I can turn it all into this tree. The problem is as we get into, when we move into the next route, it's going to look bad if we do that. So we're going to go back to our original tree. But to deal with it looking bad, we are going to need to find the tree. And this is a common problem, finding a tile, but we have this eyedropper and we can figure out where our tile is. So, oh, there it is. We can select both of these and we now have, I'm still on the eyedropper. Another important thing, you have to go back and change your tool every time. Now we have the bottom of the trees that don't have this little thing here. They don't have the top of the tree, and that's important. So now we can pick any middle of the tree and put the middle of the tree. And we have almost fixed our problem. We also need this top lip down here. Okay, we fixed our map looking bad. And that's kind of how you add tiles onto the map. There are also collisions that you have to edit when you create a map. As we see here, this big X, as you probably guess, means you can't walk here. And this 3 means you can. So we are going to go to the paint bucket tool. We are going to click on the 3, and we are going to fill the whole thing with 3. And then we're going to go to this X, and we are going to go to the pencil, and we are going to paint all of this with this X so that you cannot walk on these new trees that we've just built inside of the map. We're going to go more into depth on these collisions in another video. We're going to make a whole video about it because it can get kind of complicated, but for now the only two you need to worry about are the 3 and the X. 3 means we can walk on it, X means we cannot. Okay, so now we've got a little bit of space to work with. I am going to start to go over some of the other tabs. So our events tab here, as you can see, it has all of our people, all of our, it has the moving trucks, these tiles here, these are scripts that you can walk onto, and it will, it'll make the script run. These are sign scripts. Here is a script for our mother. These W's here in front of these doors are warps, and if you double click on a warp, it takes you to where it warps to. It takes you to the warp map. So we can warp all around our game using these warps. They're different than the map connections, which we see up here. We can change a map connection by going to this tab here. This is up, and we see it's to Route 101. If we want to do right, and we want to do, let's say we want to do Route 123. No, that's a bad route. Oh, that's a bad one. Well, that's a bad one too. But we can add Mauville in. Oh, actually, let's do Petalburg because they use the same. So we can see if we booted the game up right now, we could just walk straight over there. It might glitch out when we try to walk back, but we could just walk straight over there. We are going to undo that though, because that is not, obviously not what we want. We also change the offset here to move it around depending on where you want it. So you'd obviously want it here so that you could walk through, but it would be ridiculous to put it here anyway. So we're going to go back to Route 101, and we are going to make our offset back to 0. You can also change whether or not they're diving and emerging maps on a route. So if we go to one of the water routes, as we see here, you can dive into this route. And then if we click on this route, we'll see that there's an emerge map, and the emerge map will be this one we're looking at now. We are going to go to the Wild Pokemon tab, and we are going to go to Route 101 and talk about this real quick. The Wild Pokemon tab, Route 101 here, lets us change what Pokemon you can catch. As you see, we're using the expansion, so we can change it to even have these mega evolutions, but you don't want to do that. But how this works basically is each one of these entries has an encounter chance of this much percent. So this Wurmple here has a 20% encounter chance. This Wurmple here has a 10% encounter chance. This Wurmple here has a 10%, and so on for all of these. You can change their min levels, their max levels. You can change the encounter rate a bit. This changes how often a Pokemon spawns in general. It doesn't change how anything about this ratio here on the Pokemon that are being picked. These rates change which Pokemon are picked. And you can't change these, at least not easily, not in Porymap. This changes how often Pokemon appear. So if I make this down to 5, Pokemon are not going to appear at all. If I turn this up to 100, Pokemon are going to appear in almost every single tile, and it'll be annoying, and the people who play your ROM hack will hate you. But right now, for now, we are going to just add a Pokemon that we will be able to know for sure we are not supposed to catch. So we are going to take Squirtle, and we are going to add him to all of these. Just so that we can make sure, we're gonna save, just to make sure we'll be able to check out a Pokemon that we can't normally get in the game in that location. If we go to another map that has water, we'll be able to see on our Wild Pokemon tab that we can now access the Water Mons and the Fishing Mons tab. If you are changing all of your Pokemon in the entire game, you want only a select few Pokemon to be available, you have to make sure to change all your Water Mons and all your Fishing Mons. Otherwise, someone's going to start fishing and they're going to be able to catch a core fish, and you only wanted them to catch Magikarps, but you forgot to change the Fishing Mons. Also, the Rock Smash Mons also have to be changed. There's only select few routes that Rock Smash Mons can appear on. Not even all of them, not even all of the Rock Smash routes have Rock Smash Mons, but you have to be careful with that. If you're, again, trying to take out certain Pokemon, you want to make sure to take them out of the Rock Smash Mons as well. So we've covered the wild Pokemon, we've gone over connections a bit. This header is also pretty important. We're going to go back to Littleroot, and as we see, our changes are there. We're going to go back to the header. This song tab is as self-explanatory as that. It picks the song that plays when you're on this route, and it's the same for all the routes. The location, this is just has to do with the PokeNav, the map. The weather, we can change automatically. We're going to make it rain here in Littleroot. So when we boot into our save file, it should be raining. This is just the map type. So if we're making a new map and you want it to be an underground map, you just change it to an underground map type. This battle scene tab just has the different battle scenes for, battling for the game. We have different ones depending on who we're fighting, or just the regular normal one. The location name is just when you come into a route, it'll pop Littleroot Town from the top. Allow running, we can do this to all of our inside buildings if we want. If we want to go to an indoor building, we can allow running. However, there is a script to do it to every single building in the entire game, and we're going to go over that in a later video, and you can find it if you just look it up. But I recommend doing that instead of going through every single individual inside house and building map and changing the allow running. It's going to take you way too long. Anyway, allow biking is the same thing. Allow digging, escape rope, obviously. So we have gone over all the tabs. The events tab is going to be one of the bigger ones that we're going to be doing videos on later, but we have to start talking about Poryscript first, which is the next big topic before we can really get into the events tab, but do not worry because we will get there. So let's go back to Littleroot, and we are going to I think I want to build just a little ledge to walk off of so we can briefly talk about meta tiles, and we're gonna build a puddle as well. So I am going to turn on smart paths. As you see here, I just dragged this around and it looked pretty bad. It made it all even like that, but if I undo that with smart paths on, this doesn't work for everything. It's not going to build you a house. But for a lot of these things here, these triple ones, it might even work for this one a bit, nah. But you can get it to work for these triple ones pretty nicely. And this water is a special tile. There are a lot of special tiles in the game, but they have special attributes. The normal grass, nothing happens when you walk on it, but the water has a reflection, and it's important to understand the connection between certain tiles and their actions, because when we're starting to get into the code and breaking things down, if you want to create special tiles, which is a bit of an advanced topic, you're going to want to know how they work. We are going to now go find the ledge. Where is the ledge? Is this a normal ledge? Yeah. Here is a normal ledge. The ledge is also a meta tile. And we are going to make sure it looks pretty. And now we are going to go to our collisions, and we are also going to block out the ledge. This is not going to stop us from going over it, though. It's just going to stop us from going into it. And that's an important distinction with this meta tile, and that's why we bring it up. If you want to see it in action, we can go to Route 101, and you see here, it's the same thing. We're using the X. It's the same X even though it looks different. It's just because of the tiles being different. If I put it here, you'll see it matches, but it comes down here, it doesn't. But now that we are done editing Littleroot, and we've added Squirtle into this area, we've added a little bit of a section over here, we are going to make sure to save again. We're going to save all. And we are going to build our project. And it's as simple as that when it comes to changing a map, when you're making simple changes at least. So we're going to go to Debian, make sure to open it if you haven't. You're going to want to go to your folder where your decomps are stored. Like usual, we are going to, we are already in our decomp folder. So now that we're here, this is what I was talking about in the first video. When we are making changes to our decomp and we haven't changed every single thing about the game, we want to type in nproc, and it is going to output an integer, just the number 12 in this case. And now we're going to type in make-j 12 and then hit enter. And it is not going to take 10 minutes this time. It is only going to take a couple minutes. It might not even take a couple minutes. It might take, 60 seconds to do. Basically, nproc is a program that just lets, it outputs an integer based on what types of things it should be looking for to change. And it's only going to recompile those things. It's going to keep all of the other precompiled stuff, and it's just going to change what it needs to, so it's not going to take as long as before. Before, as you saw, it would take, up to 10 minutes, depending on how fast your computer was. But here, it should not be anywhere near that long. While it is going, though, I'm going to talk about a couple more things. You can obviously add the grid. This just shows you what the grid looks like. If we right-click on, while we have this, No. How do we access the... We can move all of this, the whole map. It basically just rotates it using this tool here, which is pretty cool, but not necessarily something you're going to be doing that often. Okay, it looks like our ROM is done, so we're going to open up MGBA. We are going to load the ROM. We're in Littleroot, and look at that. We have this whole section over here. Let's see if our room changed too. Yep, but we did not add the meta tiles, so you can walk straight through it. And that's kind of how this bed works as well. There's not a meta tile here, or not a collision tile. There's not a collision here, but there's a collision here, so that's why you can walk into the bed. But we forgot to add the collisions to this table. But as we see when we went back inside, because of the save was in Littleroot, we had to refresh to see the changes. But now Littleroot is raining, and you can see the reflection in this puddle. It didn't matter that it was raining for that, but that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about how we can also jump down. We'll slow that down, but we can't go back up. If I left the X off, we'd be able to walk straight through it both ways. And normally for an X, we can't walk through it just because there is, we can't walk down into this house. There's an X there. We can't walk down into that X, but it's only for these specific tiles here, because they're programmed specifically to let you jump down. They're called meta tiles. But anyway, so we are also going to go. Oh, apparently I have not helped out the professor here. Just gonna do this really quickly. And as you see, the rain immediately goes away. And we have a Squirtle, because we didn't add the rain to Route 101, so it's just going to disappear. If you add rain to Route 101, it will not go away, but obviously you don't need to. Now we can fight our Squirtle, and you know, you could come back and catch it. You can add any Pokemon here, it doesn't matter. Obviously, if you don't have the expansion downloaded, you're not going to be able to add Squirtle, but I recommend downloading the expansion because there are a lot of things that it includes that you're going to have to rebuild that aren't worth it, in my opinion, but it's all up to you. I think that's going to conclude it for this first intro to Porymap. We are definitely going to be talking about more things in depth because there is a lot to talk about, and we could not cover it without this video being over an hour long. So we're going to break it up into a couple sections to make it easier to digest. And yeah, so I am going to end the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, make sure to ask them. If I forgot something along the way, make sure to let me know. We're definitely going to be covering individual things like the warps more in depth, so don't worry about that if that is your question. But make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment.